All right, we're back with Piggyman and his glorious victory in the quarterfinals against complete scrub SirSmokes. Um, would you say you had this in the bag the whole way, or only like after the first move?
Always trying to make me appear cocky and
That's what we're
argue.
going for today.
um, yeah, had a pretty good match with Smokes here, and excited to get into it.
So the first rule set has all normal rules on, right? The second and third are going to have no wall rules, but the first one I think has every rule.
Yeah, correct. Same plus wall combo.
Could you walk us through the steps here?
So the stipulations for the rule set were that you had to have card for all five letters of your first five letters of your username. So the Piggyman, I had to have a card that starts with THEPI. SirSmoke had to have cards that start with SIRSM. A very peculiar rule set. I love it. It's unlike anything I've seen, really. But it made for a pretty complicated rule set to come up with a hand for. I had to open up a Word document and manually look for all the cards that were even available to me, and then kind of parsed out what's the ideal level fives, and then level fours, went down from there in priority. And ultimately, I made three hands, and this first one that we're seeing here was the one that I felt the best about, and ultimately the hand I chose.
So, from a just scanning quickly for directions, obviously this seems like a difficult set to balance it as ideally as you'd like. It looks like it's level 1 through 5, one from each level, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot to add that as well.
So you managed a 7 in 3 directions, and then a 6 facing up. Obviously, I love 6, 7, 6s. Feels like on a pure power level, you each got the same 6, 7, 6 for level 5. You each got a 6, 7, 4, 2. And then you got a 7, 6, 2, 1. He got a 6, 6, 3, 2. I'd assume on average here the 6, 6, 3, 2 should be a little more powerful.
Yeah, I think it has more play, particularly against sevens. But there's a lot to be said about having a 6-7 corner as a level 3.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought that it was the fact that it was available to me at all. There are so few 7-6s on level 3. I thought it would be a bad idea to pass it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of any. Is Wendigo a level 3?
Is he? No, I
Obviously.
feel like he's level 4.
Alright. Yeah, 7, 6, 3, 1 can't be level 3, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And probably most of the other options are like 7, 6, 1, 1 kind of things, which is a lot less play.
Yeah. So I think I got lucky in that sense that I had a letter that started with one of the stronger level 3s.
Aren't you glad you named yourself the Piggyman, not just Piggyman?
I was telling this to Tezuka as well, actually, that this rule set it's fun, but it's not balanced. And we were talking, I think, also in the last video, that if you were in this round, WAZZU, I actually would I think I would petition for the rule set to be changed because of how much of a disadvantage you would be at.
Luckily, I foresaw this all coming and lost my second round matchup.
Genius. All right, so I can start us off by saying what I had in mind here. So we're on a multi-level rule set, and generally you want to try to get rid of your lower level cards, right? So I started seeing where can I place my 5, 2, 1, 4, where can I place my 2, 3, 2, 7. And the bulk of my strength from my higher level cards, like my 6, 7, 4, 2, my 3, 6, 7, 6, are all kind of pointing down right, the 2, 6, 7, 1 as well. So I figured probably starting in 9 would be ideal, and I ultimately decided on 5, 2, 1, 4 in 9.
Yeah, I think the 2, 6, 7, 1 is really powerful. but it loses value so quickly if it doesn't face the action. And so
Absolutely.
I really like the idea of starting 9 here. That seems very logical to me. It seems like it gives all your higher level cards a lot of play. Especially. Like, I don't mind if the 2327 is dead. I'm going to try to play that soon anyway.
That's it.
Alright, see if we can move to the next one. Let me know if we have graphical issues here.
Looks good to me.
Alright, and Smokes captures it. I would assume trying to find some use for his lower level cards as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably what was going through his mind. Wants to get rid of an early card out, and I guess he thinks, oh well, if he wants to recapture in 6, well, he's going to have to get rid of at least one of his 7s down, and quite a bit of that downward right power that I'm trying to maximize. But I don't know. I don't know really where else he could have played, but I wasn't really super worried by this move. One of the first options I looked at was the move I ended up playing, which was 2671 in 6, because it also creates a plus with my 2327, which is a card that, considering the current layout of the game, probably wouldn't have had that much value, and then suddenly even it has somewhat of a role to play.
Yeah, that looks very intuitively strong to me, because you don't have a setup in 4, and you don't have something particularly good in 7, but obviously you want to be looking 6 first anyway, and you have one to do there that you can easily recapture. This makes me pretty skeptical of his first move. That feels like such a clear advantage. Sorry, just want to, because I haven't looked at the game, wanted to take a peek and just think, I think someone like Delhi might just chuck 2612 and 1.
I too have actually been finding myself on second turn playing opposite corners with like some success.
But it's a little tricky because the hand's not good at recapturing all that much. Like, I want to chuck 2612 or 6253 there, but if I chuck 2612, I don't have a second capture in 8. So if you play 6 and set up to be able to either play off 3676 or just forcing it out of the hand in 8, that could be pretty advantageous for you.
A possibility maybe is 2612 in 4, because he has that 7 to the left in the 6427 to kind of take back whatever. Even has a little cheeky a same in 8 if I decide to go 6742 in 7. I don't know if it's truly good, but it looks like something playable.
Yeah, I wonder if that has the same issue of, losing some right power here. Like, if you play. Maybe I'm not sure the specific card, but like something in 6. I'm not entirely sure where he goes next.
That's true. He does kind of drop off in power quite a bit if he doesn't have his 3676. Strongest is a 4 to the right, and funny enough, even that can't take my 5214 and 9. I don't know. Tricky spot.
Yeah. All right. So you play in 6, which makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, then he goes this 3676 in 3, which I think was a costly error. I think what he had in mind was the plus that I had in 5, the 2327 going in 5, and that by holding on to the 3266, he's created himself a plus so that he could combo back. But what he's actually done is he's forfeited basically all his remaining rightward power, and that's with the way that the game is oriented right now. And so what I ultimately played was a 6742 and 5, has a double capture. He has no way to take it from 2, so that's essentially a dead square for him unless he tries to create an opportunity for himself. And he only has the 6427 to recapture anything. His 2s to the right on the 3266 and 6253 are unable to recapture either card in 5 or 8.
That's a really good point. I got caught up on, okay, if he does combo 2327 back, can I make it work? Because he only has 6s up, so my 3676 might have play. Do you have a win in 7 at the end there? But I think your way of playing this is much more straightforward.
Yeah, I did look at moves in 7 as well, because 6742 is also just safe in 7, but I don't think there's any even reason to attempt to give him play in 5.
I think 3266 and 5 should hold for him there, just from my very quick calculation.
I think so too. So I think here really he had to play 3266 in 3, or just not play in 3 at all.
If you did do 3266 and 3, then you do have the 2327 and 5 idea, though.
Yeah, I would still only take back 1 card though.
Right, like, you're only up 6-4.
And he would have safety by going 3676 in 2 now, because I wouldn't have play against that card as much.
But you win at the end there by going 6, 7, 4, 2, and 7, because that gives you a plus in 4, and anything they put in 4 still would have a 6 up. So you'd have the combo in 1.
Alright, yeah. Tough spot for him.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I'm just trying to make the complex line work. I think yours makes a lot more sense, though. Yeah. So you go 5.
From here, I think he tried to scramble for like a Hail Mary play, and he played the fun and creative 3266 in 1.
But that doesn't give him anything in 2.
That's the problem too. Is still a dead square. It was a nice cheeky same with the 6253 and 4, but I just follow up with 2327 in 7, and Isato sweeps now, has both a plus
nice.
in 4 and the plus wall recapture in 2.
Yeah, I was expecting to hear that you blocked 4, but I guess that just doesn't work at all. Nice. Yeah.
And
I have cleverly figured out why you actually know the names of the cards. Both you've played Suikoden, which I have not, but also you had to look at all their names for the stipulations.
Yeah. I know quite a few cards, but I am far from knowing all the cards by heart.
This feels like, to me, I think if he wasn't lost after his first move, it was very close.
Yeah, well put.
Which I think also is a sign of just a really nicely chosen starter by you. Doing
thank you very much.
Very nice job directing the game such that all your cards that mattered would have a ton of play.
Yeah.
Which really is what drew me to, like, I want to play in the opposite corner, because I want something your cards don't have as much play on.
I think that's a smart instinct.
Alright, shall we move on to game 2?
Let's do it.
Alright. Closed. Alright, I'm going to bring up the stips. I'll read them and then you can explain them. Level 6 through 8, same plus combo, so no plus wallers, same wall, not that same wall's relevant. All decks must use at least 1 level 6 and 1 level 7, so 6, 7, 8, 8, 8, presumably. No cards with the same consecutive numbers. For instance, a 9953 has 2 9s, a 6946 has the 2 6s, etc. 8585 or 9484 is allowed as long as it's not touching. No rares or semis.
So, an interesting rule set. It is closed, and so, as always, I'm trying to be tricky, trying to be unpredictable. And the fact that you don't have access to 9-9s and 8-8s is interesting. I actually quite like that for a same plus combo rule set, because you can't just safely play something like a 9-9 corner and know that it won't be able to be taken back. However, the non-consecutive 9-9s are still available. And so I started to imagine that if I start in 5, I can almost guarantee a safe card for myself by playing either, like in this instance, the 3-9-3-9 or the 9-2-9-5 in a spot that's adjacent to my center starter. So that's what I had in mind with this hand. And then I also chose 4-9-8-5 and 7-2-7-8. I figured they're just strong all-around cards that will hopefully have sweeping capabilities.
I am very strongly reminded of your most famous hand.
This reminds you of the Galagross hand?
It does, because so often, you'd start in 5 and someone would have built a counter hand, right? They'd have seen you cannot take a 7-7 corner, for instance, in 7, right? With that hand, because your 7-6s all face up and you don't have any way to touch that after you move in 5. And you'd go 6-7, 1-7, and 2 and just be like, with my 2 7s facing out, you can't touch this. And sometimes you'd go in 6, but usually you'd make it more up-down. And I remember you just creating good play, being totally okay with them grabbing some safety on the way.
Now that you mention it, I see the similarities. Like the 3-9-3-9 is basically the 6-7-1-7, and the 9-2-9-5 is the 7-1-7-1.
Exactly, yeah. And of course, we don't have such perfect fits, but I remember you doing this because you're one of the few people who has spent a lot of time playing hand games on non-wall rule sets.
Yeah, not that many people played same plus combo.
Yeah. All right. I also think one more thought, and then you can jump in. Is
yeah, sure.
I think same plus combo is a good closed rule set for balancing out first turn advantage. I think it makes it a lot harder to have just a guaranteed sweeper at the end. An 8-7-6-5 or whatever that's just going to plus wall literally anything and is just guaranteed to flip cards. I think by reducing last turn combo power, you minimize first turn's advantage, and it's one of the fairest tournament rule sets for a closed rule set, in my opinion.
Would largely agree with that.
I should say, I don't like it. I love plus wall, but I think it is fair and a good set to use.
Yeah. I mean, plus wall and close is still fun, It's just more explosive.
Yeah. So, I assume you do start in 5. I'm going to guess with the low-level card.
That's right. Truthfully, I don't know why I picked 8-6-5-3 as for my level 6 or 7 here. 6. It was just, I needed a card to plop in 5, and I didn't really see a good one, and I have to be honest, I actually made this hand in card select. So that's what I chose with the time I had left, and then I plopped it in 5.
Sure. Yeah, I would have expected with you on a 5-starter more obvious synergies with the other cards.
Yeah, it might have been a good idea.
Oh dear. That's an interesting play.
Yeah, so in response, he plays this 4-8-1-8 in 2. I think logical, I can only take that with one of my level 8s, because only a 9 can touch that. And so here I was like, well, he played in 2. I figure I might as well just get my plan going, and I'm gonna plop 3-9-3-9 into 8, and that card is just safe, untouchable.
Huh. That's a good idea. My brain is very much not attuned to non plus wall. I was kind of thinking, okay, what J should we go for? Okay, where will we control the kind of, I don't know, inside pocket card as I think of it? Like, if we go 7, where can we control 1? And on the left side, we can control 9s down in 1, and we can also combo 8s down in 1. So I was sort of thinking 7, 2, 7, 8, and 7.
Yeah, that might have been good.
It feels very uncomfortable if he goes like 3.
For sure.
Yeah.
I guess I just wanted I figured the safety that it immediately gave me to go an 8 made sense. But it's possible a J could have gotten me a different outcome.
No, I think your move is better. I don't like my move. It's just what I was thinking of.
Okay.
Huh. That's tricky to deal with, actually.
Yeah, so in response here, he plays in 6, and what I immediately had to start asking myself was, can he combo in 9? Right? Like I have to assume that he can, because like it could just be a bluff, and that's what's fun about closed is sometimes you can actually bluff, you can pretend that you have a combo there. But I had to assume that he did, because I think I'd be in trouble if I let him get a combo in that square, because then I could not recapture my card in 8 from 7. So even though I looked at 9295 in 4, because I figured that he would have to have a card that could combo in 1, and he just played the card that could combo in 1. So it's very possible that he cannot even take that card either. But
and we know he doesn't have 7 because of the no double numbers.
Exactly. That's it. The no same number corners basically makes that square dead for both of us, actually. But I only wanted to play that if I was certain that he didn't have the combo for 9, because then that was trouble for me. So I decided I have to block 9, and I played my 7, 2, 7, 8, and 9.
I was wondering if there's any case for saying, okay, if you have 9, then I get 3. And I lock in a few cards for myself. Like some kind of line like... Nah, there's not really a good way to do it, is there?
I don't think so, because my cards are honestly a little clumsy, and don't have great recaptures if I try to set up anything besides that move in 4.
Sure. So here we're kind of thinking they take 3, and then are you intending to start with 9295 and 7 or 4985 and 1?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So if they go in 3 here, are you intending to start with 4985 and 1 or 9295 and 7?
9295 and 7. I think a plus or a same off a 9 and a 3 is quite unlikely, and so 9295 is probably a safe card in 7. And if he plops a card that has a 9 up in 4, then my 4985 actually does have combo, and so he could only have an 8 to recapture it. So I figured, he has to have the right card to survive with a tie there.
And it is decently likely he has some kind of card with like a 9 up, a 9 down, and something to the right that can capture 5, in which case you lose if you start in 1.
Yeah.
That seems a more plausible card. Alright, makes sense. He does go 3.
He does indeed go 3 with one of his favorite cards, 1789. And I do indeed follow with that continuation we just mentioned, the 9295 in 7. And lucky for him, he did have an 8 facing up and has the right card to survive.
Oh dear. Yeah. I was thinking his last card, I was kind of assuming it was another 9-8 corner, given we've seen two of them. So I was thinking if it has the 8 up, then he's okay. I wasn't expecting his lower level card to have an 8 up. Huh.
Yeah, I was actually hopeful for a win here, but he got a good tie.
It's one of those closed games where, like, I feel like second turn should have managed an advantage having locked two cards on the far right. But it's still first turn pressing to win here. Closed is hard.
Closed is hard, yeah.
Okay. So we move on to a new rule set. Alright, I'm going to go find what the steps are here. Level 8, same plus combo, and then the worst rule. Decks all. Max of 2 9/9s, no 9/9 corners, no 8/7/6/5s, no rares or semis.
Yeah, so this rule set, of course, has the blasphemous elemental. I actually like elemental, but I know that you are not quite so keen on it. So one of the main things that I looked for was cards with elements, of course. Given that we have only, I think, 2 9s that we can have at all in the hand.
Oh, I misread that. I thought that was like, yeah, max of 2 9s in the hand. Okay. All right, continue.
Yeah, it's a bit. I get what you mean. It's a bit funny worded, but yeah, individual 9s in the values of your cards, you can only have up to 2.
So it seems like... Yeah, sorry, continue.
So yeah, I'm just looking through for cards with an element, of course, right? Like there was Bomb here, the 9/8/2/6. There was also Ifrit, the opposite, the corner with the same values. And after I chose those two with the 9/8s, I started looking around for 8/8s that had elements, and there are actually not that many of them. Like you can see in Smoke's hand, he used an 8/5/8/5 because it has a holy element, and it's got 2 8s, and so that made I think that's a garbage card personally, but it has an element, and it could possibly be a 9/6/9/6, which is suddenly actually pretty sexy. But we had to kind of like dig to find good cards for this rule set.
Quick story. In the special edition Rufus Finals where I was playing MC, the rule set was level 6 through 10, one card from each level. The first letter in each card's name must spell out Rufus. And so I picked, of course, Sergeant Joe for the S because that's the best card. And the U's were tricky, and I ended up using this unicorn 8/5/8/5. And I wouldn't remember the game at all, except that Vid wrote a recap article for Occult Fan on it, where he thought my hand had an advantage. And looking back at it, I was like, why did I use that horrible card? This looks terrible. But the card worked, and I did win.
Nicely done. Yeah, I find it has like limited play. Like it really doesn't have any play against 8s. It has no play against 9s. It can only set up like weird pluses off its 8 and 5. I could see it having more play against A's, honestly, because of the possible for plus walls, but
yeah, it ended up like taking Squall from under Squall. Like it took a 6, and that was all it needed to do. Bad card, not useful.
Well, there you go. It did its one job. But yeah, I'm a bit of a 8/5/8/5 hater.
So why did you choose to go with both your 9/8s for the same side of the board rather than opposites?
I think they both had elements, and like I could have possibly chosen Ifrit instead of Bomb.
But the 8/3/7/8 was probably one of your only elemental options on a 8/8.
Exactly. There was either the 8378 or there was Log, which is a Suikoden 5 8278. We might see that card show up later.
Spoilers.
And that was almost it for the 8-8 options in 9 with an element. And so I had to either choose to like make a concession there or to just pick a different level 8. And I figured, 8378 with the Earth Elemental is probably one of the stronger level 8s that are level 8s without a 9 that I can use. So let's just take the bomb for the other corner and try to just get a bunch of 8s in the opposite direction to kind of shore up that weakness.
Oh, I just want to say as an aside, I did crop the video so no one can see the tabs you have open. Just so you know. I'd
Okay.
forgotten I'd done that. Not that the tabs are embarrassing, but what's a P code?
Yeah, people can see the research I was doing as I was making a crossword puzzle in my other tabs while playing this game.
But they can't because I've blocked it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They can't.
Yeah. All right, so he had first turn, so we'll see his move. Just quick look at the hands, though. It feels like he did a kind of traditional four corners with an up down. Where I always feel like if the up down doesn't have plus wall potential, it's probably not that great a card. Like I either want it to have up down plus wall potential or like max values in those directions. And it can be tricky when it has neither. And then your hand is four corners and then a side to side. That has a little more plus wall potential with so many 8s around.
I think I largely agree with you. I did feel as well that my 6-8-4-8 was not tremendously useful this game. I think that, in these same plus combo rule sets, I'm feeling these like this up and down cards are not as effective, except in the instance of last game where the 3-9-3-9 and 9-2-9-5 were actually quite powerful. But here, since they're 8s and your opponent is always going to have some 9s somewhere, it lessens their efficacy a bit.
Yeah. So it looks like he is a safe starter.
Yeah, so he plays this 1-7-8-9 in 3. Cannot be touched by me. I was actually wondering if he was going to start 9-8-2-6 in 7, because obviously that looks very juicy. The bomb getting the +1 and also would prevent my bomb from getting the +1, because that's going to be a key square, I think, for either of us. But ultimately decides to go this, and then I started wondering, like, oh, okay, well, do I want to occupy that square now? But I think he actually has some pretty scary setups if I went in 7 here with bomb.
6, 8, 8, 3, and 5. Maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Setting up a same in 8 and a plus in 4. So I started looking elsewhere. I was like, I can't play there. I gotta create another opportunity. And I actually started looking. I saw the square in 2 is adjacent to 2 elements, neither of which he has an element for. So if I go in 2, it's actually a safe square as well, and he has a harder time creating play against it in another square. It does. I figure I'm never taking this card in 3 anyway, so I don't mind blocking it. It's basically just a safe card, and I gotta treat it as one. So I went 7-2-8-8 in 2.
All right. Can I talk through my ideas here?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think he chose the better of the safe corner starters. If he had started bomb in 7, it looks to me like maybe Gilgamesh in 5 is a good setup for you. You both have the same in 8, but only you have the plus in 4. And I think that should be reasonable for you. Especially just because it's impossible, or it's so difficult for him to play next to his starter then without being comboed really hard. Just because it's so big, it's a 10-9 on level 8. And this one you don't have setups against. So I think this was the preferable way for him to start with a safe corner. It also makes me think, given that your corner is safe in reply, this is probably a rule set where, and that he had two options for safety, where potential safety is just really, really high. Which makes me wonder some things about hand building that would be slow to figure out. But I wonder if how many tools are there for like big five setups against different corner types, and probably not many. Also, instinctively, I really like your move in two. I think saying 3 is gone, I'm gonna take what I can get makes a lot of sense. And also, as so often happens, playing the card for the same corner gets a card out of your hand that won't be that useful for the rest of the game. I was trying to think, can we do an Akiyama thing where we play in 5 against their starter, only setting up one way, trying to force them to block the square, and then we say we set up for 6, force them to go in 6, and then we go in 9 safely. But we never have safety in 9 due to the element there. So like even if we set up 6-8, 4-8 well there, I don't think it works very well. That was my other idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in elemental rule sets, just given the random nature of where the elementals are going to be and how many there are going to be as well, it kind of makes it difficult to stick to traditional instincts and formation ideas.
Sure.
Kind of got to adapt.
I really like this move. When I was doing it was a little while ago, but I was taking the games of the 10 or so players I consider best on the site, and just not like looking deep into the games, but just seeing what were their frequencies of doing different response types against corner starters, but also other starter types, and what was the success with each frequency or with each type of response. And next to starters, when top players play them, tend to be really, really strong. And they score very well with them. And I don't know if that means people should do them more than they do, because maybe they're just doing them when they correctly fit. It doesn't necessarily follow that there's like an equilibrium here that's not being exploited. But I was really impressed by how well they scored, both capturing and non-captures.
It's interesting. I wonder if it's like a small sample size kind of thing where, they're probably moves that are not played that often, and so when the top players do play them, it's usually because it's the few times where they are good moves.
Sure. And like I think there's stuff like the worst response to a corner starter statistically by far is far sides, right? Meeting 3 in either 4 or 8. But I think part of that is most of the time it's played, it's kind of a panic move, right? There are times it's played with intentional goals, but there are lots of times it's played because kind of nothing else could be found and it was a backup option. And so its stats look worse, but if you kind of adjusted for, oh, these hands were all terrible, maybe it wouldn't look as bad. On the other hand, I think kind of a lot of the good players play like weak opposite corners as a bailout option, and those still score pretty well. So there might be more going on. One other interesting thing from that was adjacent corners, so meeting like 3 and 1 or 3 and 9, had by far the highest tie rate, which I thought was interesting and I didn't really expect.
That is interesting. Probably because they force the action so much, You go in like 1 or 9 with a 3 starter, like 2 and 6 kind of become priority squares, it sort of narrows the scope of the moves that you have to be looking at.
Yeah, I kind of had a similar version of trying to explain this to myself, which was because it so often forces the blocking the in-between square and you set up the L, it kind of like shortens the game, and Triple Triad's such a short game anyway that if you have kind of a turn where it's easier to just do the right thing, there's less room to push for a clear result. Which I think is saying something pretty similar.
It's like playing a chess opening that's like super far into the main line.
Yeah, we're just like, okay, you each played correctly for 30 moves. There's not that much game left.
Yeah.
Alright, so he goes 1, finding big use for Unicorn, which is not safe, but if you take it, you get comboed back very hard.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, it is a safe card. Um, I technically can take it as well with the 8378, thanks to
Oh, yeah.
the element, but I really would not like the cards left in my hand to deal with that situation. Like the 6893 especially has like a 6 up and 3 left, suddenly becomes a super weak card. So that really was not on my mind for as a response. Um, I actually struggled a bit here to think of a move. I still can't go 9826 in 7. Now even he has a plus with the 8378 in 4. So I started wondering, okay, how can I create play? How can I make opportunities for myself? And I started looking at moves in 5, and I actually saw a double setup with the 6893 in 5. It's admittedly a setup for with a card that he has as well. Like he has the exact same setups in 4 and 6 that I do, um, and he has first turn, so he's gonna get the last card to play, and so that worried me a bit. But I figured that if I get to play in 6, he doesn't actually have that much combo potential back in 4, so it forces him to play in 6 to some extent. That's what I thought anyway, and so I figured it's probably at least a safe move. It's probably going to get me a tie, I figured.
Looking through this position, I basically had everything you were about to say. I thought of saying like 5 seconds. Ooh, if he doesn't say this, I'll have something to say, and then you immediately said it. So I have very little to add here. I had started looking at 6848 and 5, but then thought 6893 has fun combo potential, and then you started explaining the move, and yeah, I don't think I have anything to add here. I like the concept of it is okay to surrender combo squares. If your threat in them is great enough, you can force kind of them to occupy first, right? Normally, first turn has the advantage if combo squares are shared, as you said. Again, I have nothing new to add, so I'm just repeating. But if you can make one a serious enough threat, and here, 6 is just much more important than 4 because it combos through 2, I guess, or can potentially. I guess it never does.
Yeah, that's it. 6893 and 5 does also effectively lock in the card in 2 for me.
Yeah. And he just never has combos back, either square, right? Because if you go 6 and then follow in 4, it still doesn't hit that hard back if he combos back in 6. I guess it's like sort of that the combo chain is not all that relevant.
But I think the problem is that if he's the one that goes in 4, then I get the 9826 bomb in 7, and then he does not have a plus for it anymore in 8.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I think one thing you and Tezuka both have and share is a nice instinct for how cards in 5 will set up combos later down the road.
That ion 5 square.
But he does not go in 6 or 4. Leaves them both open.
Yeah.
Keeps all his up power in a T.
I was pretty surprised by this move. And I actually, at first, I was a little worried. I was like, ooh, actually, like, I feel like he set himself up pretty nicely here now. And I started to worry that this was losing for me.
You still don't ever have bomb in 4. In fact, bomb just covers bomb really well on the left side.
It does, and his first turn here is he's using it very well by basically taking advantage of all the same combos and options that I would have, but a turn late.
So if we start with 8, 3, 7, 8, and 6, then you go up 6, 4. And if they go 9, then then depending which card they keep, I think you tie with bomb in 4 or with 6, 8, 4, 8, and 7. So is this a tying idea?
I can confirm that it is, because that was the in-game continuation.
Alright, cool.
Good find. I don't know if there were that many other ties, in fact, in this position.
Because if we start in 4, we have, like, nothing to do on the right side of the board. And we're just going to lose to 8, 3, 7, 8, I think.
Yeah. And you can't even play bomb in 4, just to have the 8, 3, 7, 8 combo in 6 left afterwards, because bomb gets comboed back by bomb.
Right. If we start with 6, 8, 4, 8, and 7, my idea is if they play 8, 3, 7, 8, and 4, then our combo in 6 extends through 8, which might make it a tie as well. I think it does.
Fine.
So I think that might be a second way to tie.
I think it is, yeah.
But sort of same concept, just switching the move order.
And yeah, so this game ended again in a tie. I think we both played pretty well this game.
Yeah, I agree. And he overcame Unicorn, so, you know, kudos to him.
That's it. Kudos to Smoke for that.
You've had a number of games, including against me, where I thought a T was winning against you and it wasn't. It's very frustrating. Alright, so we move back to rule set 2, the closed set. And I've seen you use some of these cards before.
Yes, and you know what? I'm a little disappointed in myself for my hand here, actually. But what I told myself was I know that symmetry can be really powerful. I am just usually hesitant to play it in closed. But then I started telling myself, well, Slash of Time destroyed you with a symmetrical hand. Clearly, symmetrical hands can work. And I think this 2876 and 7628 pair, I found a lot of success with in the last round of TTAC, and I figured that this is just a powerful combo of cards. I'm gonna try to make the most of them, and I comboed them too with these symmetrical 6289, 8962, because I figured they have the recapture for both of the lower level cards in like either 1 or 7 or 3 or 9, which would kind of make them a safe card. And decided that the 9/9s, the up down 9/9s, were really potent as well, and figured I'm just gonna throw in another one, and kept the 9295 from last hand.
This looks like a really kind of classic standard build and strong open hand to me. And I'm curious to see how it works in both closed, but also specifically closed with no plus wall. So you have first turn. And
I do.
I was thinking, given the like prevalence of 9/9s, and given that you don't have both the horizontal and vertical, like if you went in 5 and he went in 2 or 8 again, we might not have a comfortable move.
That's true.
So I started wondering if there was a good kind of corner starter or something. But the strong corners are annoying to take back, and the weak corners really leave our hand poorly balanced facing it. So I'm really not sure of where I'd want to start here. So I'm curious where you did start.
I started in 5 again. I looked a little at a weak corner, like possibly 7628 in 1 or 2876 in 9. But as you mentioned, I think it left my hand in a weird spot, and it would make the posing low-level card have very little play. Like 6 and 2 outfacing is not effective enough.
I do wonder if just fundamentally enclosed kind of, especially against better closed players, like having power towards the immediate action can be less meaningful. Like often a corner starter is met with 5, and then you can use up the card that didn't have power facing as a weak corner in, 3 kind of thing, and have a lot of things easy to recapture for the end game. And sometimes it can make more sense than it would in open.
Yeah, for sure. So I decided to play the 9-2-9-5 in 5. The idea being that if he captured in either 4 or 6, that obviously I would have a safe recombo, and my idea was that my 7-6-2-8 and my 2-8-7-6s could be safely recaptured on either side.
I was thinking, just single process brain, thinking about one thing, like have to start with one of the low levels. Did not consider this one at all. All right.
It's generally a smart instinct to start with your lower levels, but this move looked promising to me.
And he again goes with the next 2 8 up 8 down, which is so interesting on the... Oh, okay, so first of all, that's very annoying against your hand.
It is. This actually is a completely safe card. I bet he didn't even realize that how safe this card would be. But this move was a real nuisance. So I clearly don't have any play, and it's hard for me to even create play against it. So I figured I'm just gonna continue with my plan. My plan seems good and logical, and so I played 7-6-2-8 in 6, allowing for my 6-2-8-9 to recapture safely in 3 or 9.
That makes sense. I'm gonna take a sec to think about other options.
Sure. I find that unfortunately there's not a whole lot of like double combo potential. Like I can create some combos here, but never in like both squares.
Yeah, and our inability to take up down. Like I was thinking maybe this is okay because we play in, 3 or 9 and we have a very side to side game. But say we play 7-6-2-8 and 3, right? We know they don't have a combo in 6, and so it doesn't they can't really take advantage of the high numbers facing towards 2 because we're not worried about getting comboed there. And we do have pretty good control of kind of the top of the board, but if they just go 6 or something there, or with a 9 out and 7, we just have so little we're threatening any play against. So I guess that might happen no matter what. That's difficult.
Yeah, I actually, I felt that I was not pressing here. I thought that like I immediately didn't feel great.
Yeah. It's weird, the max -1 facing out on same plus combo. He's gone for it twice, and it's interesting. It's really hard. Obviously you can't have combo play against one side, and it guarantees he can have a recapture in his hand. I wonder, like, in these games you've either not had the capture or never had it lined up so you could capture with, like, an 8 facing out or something. But it's pretty hard to be able to capture with the no 9-9s rule and have a decent number facing out, because you can't have very many 9-8s in your hand, and if you do, they have to be facing the exact right orientation to both take and have high out. It's an interesting idea.
I think too it was a smart move, given that my first move was 9-2-9-5, having given up 2 possible 9s that could have captured that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So I thought this was well played by Smoke.
Did he do a similar thing? I appreciate that you call him by his actual name. I will not stop calling him Smokes. That's what it is in my brain. Did he do a similar...
I've always said Smokes too, and it's only recently that I realized it was Smoke without the S, but I totally understand where you're coming from.
If we skip back here, I was wondering if this had also aligned with the direction of your starter, but it hadn't here. But you also hadn't used up so much power on your starter in the previous.
Here I had started with a weaker card, which I think was a smarter idea. So he follows up with this 3/8 in 1. Again, causing some annoyance. I mean, the card in 4 was locked in anyway, so it doesn't bother that he plays it there for that reason. But here I started wondering, I only have one card to take that card. And should I just like drop it in there now? But then 3 is like such an easy square for them to guarantee safety in. And my 2876 is probably not doing very much useful things in the bottom row. And especially I'm weak to the left. So I was like, this is not an option. I gotta look elsewhere. And I have to be honest, I was not finding very many moves that I liked. I thought maybe 8/9/6/2 in 7, since that's for sure safe. But I figured he probably just has safe recombos that like I would have a hard time touching. And if he even has a combo himself in 2, which is very possible, then my 9295 then is his, and I'm never touching it again. And that probably would have been a loss. So I ended up deciding to go 6/2/8/9 in 9 because I figured that's safe, and at least I can hope that he has a 9 to the left, that he plays an 8 at some point, and that I could have a big combo back.
Yeah, this is a really tough position, I think. I think this is sort of the opposite of combo potential off 5, right? Is he might now have combo potential off 5. We probably never do. And, I mean, obviously we also have 2 as well, but he's usually going to have first access to 2 if he wants it. So my first instinct was also stick something in 9, though I kind of wanted to play 2876 there. But I was worried if he goes something like 7, because we can't play 8, that it's pretty uncomfortable and we have to kind of hope for a coin flip tire loss going in 3 after. Seems pretty terrible.
It is. I didn't feel good about my move here.
I think your move in 6 was fine. I think it's really hard to play a card that will have combo potential off it, or where we can't know if there's combo potential off it, where you can't match the number if needed. That's something I've been messing up a bunch and trying to internalize better, so maybe I'm over adjusting to it. But I think that card in 5 is just really hard for us to work around.
I think I like your 2876 in 9 better, because at least that way I might have held on to the one take that I had in 2 in the event that he played in 3 or something like that.
And if it does give up 8, okay, like a combo there, that's a disaster, but like what can we do at that point?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like likely numbers. You go 9.
So here he plays this 9854 in 7. Annoyingly, once again, a card I have no play against. And so I decided, let's try and bluff. I figured that it's probably a loss regardless, so let's just give myself a last opportunity, because if he has a like a plus or something that he just created for himself in 8 and he goes in 8, well, if I create myself a combo in 2, then maybe the card in 5 can flip up a bunch of things. So I played my 2876 and 3, setting up a plus for my 8962 and 2, and just praying that he goes in the wrong square.
Yeah, I think this is mandatory, because he's so likely to have 2, I think, at this point. and thus just 8 loses on the spot. Because there are high numbers facing out from 1 and 5, he's never going in 2 in a way you can luck into a combo back. And you also don't have the cards for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this is required.
He did indeed have the combo, and this is a loss. A well-played game by Smoke.
Good call by him to go 2, even if he didn't have a capture there. Because, like, if he could do that and flip 3, right, it's obviously over. Or I guess it's not. If you have the combo and 8, you win, actually, still.
Actually must have been a scary spot for him, but he chose the right square.
Yeah, and it's really hard for you to have, like, a 9-8 corner for 9 here, given the rest of your hand. Seems very unlikely. Yeah, nicely played by Smokes. And he also played the last Elemental game really well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
Agreed.
tied 1-1. How are you feeling?
Pressure's on, and the only rule set left is the random open closed one. So I was a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. But it's interesting. Here he won on second turn. Like, I had first turn and closed, and I lost. So it's definitely evidence that, even if you get second turn and closed, if you play well, you've always got a chance.
Though I do think not having plus wall on makes it easier for that to work. Again, I think this is a good rule set for tournaments in general. Same plus combo closed.
Yeah.
Alright. So you switched up your 9-8 corner for 1. And instead of a side to side, you've got rid of 6-8-4-8 and brought 7-4-7-8.
Yeah.
So I assume... Yeah, sorry, go.
I figured that, it's got an elemental, so it could possibly turn into an 8-5-8-9. That's pretty nutty. And something that I did that I was reluctant to do at first, but I chose to do it this time, was I chose 2 cards that were almost the exact same, the 8-3-7-8 and the 8-2-7-8. But they have 2 different elements, and I have, coverage of 5 different elements in my hand. And this was a situation where I figured I can just plop one of those cards as a weak corner into one, and then most of my hand has power facing that direction. So I thought, if there was ever a rule set, a hand to try to use 2 near identical cards, maybe this is it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that thinking. I also... It seemed clear from the last game that the horizontal vertical cards weren't playing very well. So I like the idea of trying a double corner instead, especially when you don't know if the game will be closed, you don't want to have exactly the same cards, you don't want it to be predictable.
Yeah.
And I think,
Gotta tweak in closed. And we're gonna see what happens when you don't tweak your hand in this game.
Oh no, did Smokes go with the same hand again?
He might have.
Oh no. Oh, we have seen that card before.
So he starts with this weak corner, and I immediately I'm looking at 6 and 8, but I don't like either of those because obviously he just has the recombo in the other, or I hit the recapture in the other square, and possibly that it could set up a plus or something for me, but that's kind of gambling, and it's sort of why I didn't like his 2-6-1-2 in 8 move in the very first game. So I started looking elsewhere. Started looking in 3 and 7. See if I can get some nice setups for myself, but I found it difficult because I found that I didn't have that much play to create. So I went with an opposite corner and plugged my 7-4-7-8 in 1. I figured there is no ice element, and I don't know if these sevens are going to have that much play against the plethora of eights that are in this rule set.
It's interesting that you chose the 7-4 instead of one of the redundant corners here. I don't mean that as criticism. I'm just curious what the thinking was, and it sounds like it was that you thought 887 was just significant.
No, I thought the card could have potential. It was hard to find good cards for this rule set just because of the limited number of nines you could have at all.
Oh no, I didn't mean the card in general. I meant why that card specifically in one over one of the 887 corners.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sorry. I had the idea that both the 8378 and the 8278 had a lot of power facing the direction of the card I just played, more so than the 7478 would have. And so while my first instinct when I made the hand was to play one of those two in that corner, I thought that the 7478 just wouldn't have very much play at all. It couldn't even recapture either of those cards if I played them in one from four, for example. So I just thought it had a pretty bleak outlook if I kept it in my hand.
It's interesting to me that you're more focused on the recapture on your card than the capture on theirs. Because my first instinct was, oh, my 7478 already has double captures. Let's use the 8278 that doesn't. But I guess you have a whole bunch of cards that have double captures on theirs.
Yeah, but their card in 9 is not a problem for me to take. And so I wasn't really even preoccupied with that.
Uh-huh.
So here when he played his 8-5, 8-5, and 5, this is immediately when I started thinking, like, he has the same hand. Like that, or, he maybe he tweaked like one card, but so far he's played two cards the exact same. And so I started to think like what was his hand originally? And I started to keep in mind, like, the 187, the 1789. I kept in mind the I forget what the other two cards are now, actually, but I remembered them in the middle of the game, and so I started using that information. I was playing as if he still had that same hand in mind.
So, can I quickly interject here?
Yes, definitely.
So, Omega Weapon, the 1789, has the plus and 6. And I believe he used Floral Falau, the 4985, which has the plus and 8.
I think he used Floral Falau actually in the closed rule set. And another reason that I thought he must have the same hand is because he had also the 8378, which he would have created a double combo for himself in 6 and 8. And he also created a combo for himself with Bomb, the 9826, another card that we both had in 2.
Nice, yeah. That was the kind of analysis I was looking for. I just remembered the cards wrong.
Yeah.
But I think it is the way...
Thank you. You helped me remember what the cards were.
But I think it is the way to get a better feel for whether they're using the same hand or switching it up, is if the cards they've played make a lot of sense with the cards you've seen before, then it is very indicative that they might be running it back.
Yeah.
And
so having that in mind, I knew that an 8 up here was actually safe. So I started looking at 6. I wanted to block one of the two squares that he had a combo with in 6 and 8. Just a question of, don't leave those two squares open at the end, or else he's got the sweep. And I could have done it with either the 8278 or the 8378. I chose the 8278, even though there is still a water element present on the board. It's not an element that has tremendous impact.
So if he still has the 8378, we're kind of thinking we go 6, he goes 8, presumably. I guess you're going 7 there because you have the combo in 2.
I've got the combo in 2, and if he does still have Bomb, he can't even actually capture my 2986 in 7.
That's a good point. So it's hard for him to set up in 3. Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. And we do see 8.
Yeah, and this further reinforced my idea that I knew what his hand was, and I already knew what my next move was going to be if he played that, and so sure enough, I played 2986 in 7.
So his last 2 cards are 1789, and what's the other one?
Bomb
Bomb
9826.
Yeah, 9826. So if we started in 4 intending to combo back from 2, we get a tie, but 1987 has the combo in, or just as a capture in 3, so we don't win. I was thinking like sliding in 4 with 8378, but that ties. And if we start in 3 with 8378, that is safe. That might be good too here.
Yeah, looks potential.
Yeah, that is a very mean card to play against Bomb, exactly.
It is, and I guess let this be a lesson, fellow TTA players, that when you have the possibility of closed, even if it's random open closed, you got to make sure you don't reuse the same hand. It becomes exploitable.
Yeah.
So here, in response, he went in 3, I believe, with his 1789. I think he figured, I'm going to try to keep my combo alive in 2. Maybe he does something silly, and then I flip stuff.
I think from his perspective also, like, how can you not block locking in the 2? Like, it's easier for him to have the captures in 4 than 2 if you don't know his cards, right?
Yeah. Though, I think this was a win, no matter what square he played in.
Oh, I think so too. I think you've won here against his hand. But I'm thinking from his perspective and not knowing your cards or that you know what you know. I think if he goes 3 with a 9 facing out, that, and let's assume you can't capture it. In this case, I see you can. But assuming you can't, I think that's a really good try. Because I think it's more likely you, again, not if you didn't know the cards, would go in 4 rather than 2.
Right, what you mean. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I think I had used 3 different cards from my last hand up until this point, and so I think it's fair for him to assume that maybe the 2 cards that are left are also cards he hasn't seen yet. But in fact, my 2 cards that were left were the only 2 cards that I still had from my last hand.
Right. So if you I guess it's I guess you actually need the capture in 2 to win here. I was wondering if there was where it was without that.
Yeah, and that's why I was very thankful that I played my
8278
in 6 and not my 8378.
Yeah, man, that worked out great. Good call. And again, if you're watching this game and don't know the cards, the idea that they wouldn't have the capture on 7 here.
I know, right? You would just have to believe that it's a tie, because obviously you can capture it too. But
if it's a win, it's because you didn't capture the 7.
True. But yeah, and that was the conclusion of this match. It was a really fun match. And I am excited to make my first finals.
Yeah. Huge congratulations on that front.
Thank you.
I also think it's really cool that you and Tezuka have talked about hands throughout the tournament. Like, I don't know how many rounds you've talked with him, but I really like the idea of you have worked together throughout and dominated together.
Indeed, it's kind of like we helped each other get to the top a bit. Now, of course, we will not be colluding. We will be seeing whose individual prowess can take the trophy.
And I know I said this in the semifinals recap video, but I also think it's really cool that your path, I think, was just really difficult, right? You took out 10 combined championships, right? And Tezuka's path was hard, not as hard, but he's also still undefeated, which is pretty cool for an argument for him being favorite here.
Like I commented on that video, I think his undefeated streak so far is more dominant than mine.
He did get a bye in the first round, though.
That's fair.
So he's one round fewer potential defeats.
It's gonna be a good matchup. I've already made my hands. I'm locked and loaded, and we're set to play this weekend.
All right. Well, given that, so we're recording this on Friday. You are set to play on the weekend. Is it okay if this is my video that comes out tomorrow, or would you like me to delay it slightly?
No, I have no problem at all. If you want to ship it tomorrow, be my pleasure.
All right. Maybe it'll distract Tezuka while he's playing.
Exactly, taking away valuable time from him.
I guess I shouldn't ask questions or anything about your hands or your plans there. I am going to say the rule sets, if that's okay.
Yeah, for it.
All right, so the open rule set is same plus, same wall, plus wall combo, level 10, all decks. So very traditional, but with the stipulations, max of 1 A9, max of 1 8-8, no 9-9-8s. I was going to say I like this set. Must use exactly one rare card, no semis.
Yeah, must use one rare card. I have mixed feelings. I think it's interesting. You know, it's so rare to have a rule set that encourages, and not just encourages, but mandates a rare card. I think it makes sense to avoid stipulations like this in early tournament play and in just regular play, because not everyone has rares, and
you don't want to lock someone into using like usually when this comes about, the corners are much better than the up downs. Like if your only one is like Emeralda or something, that's probably a handicap.
Yeah.
And also, if you only have like one rare, if you have a new account, you can't switch off it, right? Your hand is committed.
Yeah, it makes it a pretty inflexible rule set in that sense. Thankfully, I have a decent number of level 10 rares.
Of undisclosed rares.
Yeah, that shall not be named exactly. But yeah, if nothing else, I appreciate the rule set for its uniqueness. Until Delial mentioned that he is literally playing in Clan League with the exact near the exact same rule set, and I was like, oh yeah, totally didn't forget that.
I'm gonna make a prediction. I think 8866 I think there will be one in each person's hand in the first game. That is my prediction. You can, of course, not say anything. You may know I'm already wrong. But I think knowing there's that many rares around, the appeal of the double-double numbers will be too strong for either of you to resist.
We shall see.
I also bet that Tezuka privately messaged Dalamar asking if Uber counted as a 998. Because he loves that card.
Oh, giving me intel on his hand tendencies. Thank you.
Those are my two predictions. All right, second set. This is the closed set. Levels 8 and 9, same plus, same wall, plus wall combo. Looks like most FF decks except for FFO and Mystic Quest and 10-2.
And Tactics. I think it's all the numbered Final Fantasies from 4 to 15.
Okay, that's a better way of saying it. Max 2 level 9s. Entire hand must be from only 2 decks, which must be sequentially next to each other. No rares or semis. So FF4 and 15 are underpowered because they can only be paired one way.
I thought that was one of the first things I thought about. I was like, you're at a disadvantage if you're using FF4 or FF15 because there are just like 11 fewer cards that I could possibly have, which makes it easier for Tezuka to kind of process of elimination the cards I might have.
Yeah, especially in closed, because my second thought was, but FF15 I think is just a really powerful deck. I might want to use it anyway. But you're right, this is closed. I think that's very dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe I use FF4 or FF15 just to bamboozle him.
I like the idea of using 5 cards from the same deck, and they're just searching like, okay, they used 3 cards from FF8, now it's going to be FF9s or FF7s, and it just never comes. I don't think that's a good strategy, but I like the concept.
It's an idea.
Okay, and our final rule set, level 7, same ++ wall combo, all decks, max of 188, no repeated number combos. So like 2 different 8/7/6/4s and no rares or semis.
I think this is just a good classic fun rule set. Stipulations are simple enough, and I think there is a decent variety of options that can be called upon here.
Yeah, I don't often like the max of 188 stip, but I think it combines well with no repeated combos because like your 8842 and your 8853 are very much the same card, right? In most situations.
Yeah.
And so I think it here helps the no repeated combos idea. So I would probably use an 8/8 corner, an 8/7/6/4, or what are the options? I'm just going through this for me. Please don't say anything you shouldn't. 8/8 corner, 8/7/6/4, 8/6/6/4, 8/6/6/3, 8/7/6/3, 8/7/5/4. That gives 6 different types. And I don't like 8/6/5/4s. There are like 8/7/4/4s or other 8/7 things. But yeah, that I think gives decent variety in tools, and it doesn't lock you into 5 exact cards. I was hoping I wouldn't come up with exactly 5 number combo types. Oh, there's also 7/7/5/5 is pretty popular. Yeah.
I think there's actually quite a few good options available.
Yeah, I like that set. I'm looking forward to this. I hope I catch it. I might not be able to, in which case I hope you take screenshots for me again. If it's not too much of a bother.
It's no problem at all. I'd be happy to.
But
especially that it made analysis quite a bit easier for us.
Yeah. So huge good luck to you in the finals, though of course I will also be very happy for Tezuka should he finally end the piggy train. But
yeah, you must be like a proud father here. Your two clanmates duking it out.
I just went out and recruited all the people I thought were great. And everyone said yes. Or not everyone, but most people said yes.
I think you are succeeding as a clan leader.
I think I got turned down by 2 people who we will hate forever.
Their loss.
1 Canadian, 1 spiritually Canadian. Yeah.
Okay, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed seeing these games. I liked not having looked at them before. I think that was fun for me, at least.
Yeah, you had a couple of really good moments where you pretty much exactly pinpointed what was being played.
And, yeah, how does it feel to be in your first finals? You've been in many a semifinal before, but...
Feels great. Feels is doing wonders for my confidence.
Nice. Yeah, I guess I'll cut off the video here. Cheers, and thanks again for doing this.
Yeah, my pleasure. Looking forward to the next one.